Throughout the history of space exploration, animals have played a significant role in various space programs. The initial deliberate attempt to send living creatures into space involved fruit flies. On February the 20th, 1947, they were transported aboard a V-2 rocket. At the time, the effects of cosmic radiation on organic matter were not well understood. Due to the genetic similarities between fruit flies and humans, they were considered suitable subjects for the testing and research. Flies and the capsule were safely recovered, and scientists discovered that their genetics had not been mutated by the radiation. In the 1940s and 50s, both the Soviet Union and the United States sent several species of animals, including monkeys, mice, and dogs, into space. These were suborbital flights, meaning the spacecraft entered outer space but did not complete an orbit before returning to Earth. The first animal to orbit the Earth was Laika, a dog aboard a Soviet spacecraft, Sputnik 2, on November 3rd, 1957. Laika was found as a stray dog in Moscow. She was chosen because the Soviet scientists believed a homeless animal would be better suited to endure the cold, hunger, and harsh conditions of space travel. Unfortunately, due to the inadequate oxygen and food supplies, Laika's death in space was expected from the beginning of the mission. Sputnik 2 was equipped with innovative devices to sustain Laika's life, including an oxygen generator, a heat-activated fan for temperature regulation, and enough food for 7 days. According to Russian sources, Laika died due to a failure in Sputnik 2's temperature controls. On April 15, 1958, after approximately 2,570 orbits, Sputnik 2 and Laika's remains left orbit and disintegrated upon re-entry of the Earth. Nearly 50 years later, in 2008, a monument honouring Laika was finally erected outside Star City, a military facility in Russia, where she was trained for her mission. The statue depicts a rocket merging into a hand, symbolising the launch of Laika into space. To date, a total of 32 monkeys have flown into space. The first monkey, Albert II, went into space on June 4th, 1949, but unfortunately died during re-entry when the parachute of his capsule failed. Albert III and IV also perished when their rockets malfunctioned. On August 15th, 1950, a mouse was launched into space, but did not survive the return journey. In the 50s, both the US and the Soviet Union sent 12 dogs on various suborbital flights. In the 60s, guinea pigs, frogs, cats, wasps, beetles, and chimpanzees followed. On the 31st of January 1961, a chimpanzee named Ham became the first hominid to be launched into space as part of a US-led Mercury space program. The mission aimed to test whether tasks could be performed in space, and the results were instrumental in launching the first Americans into space. The French sent their first animal, a cat, into space on October 18th, 1963. The cat had electrodes implanted into her head to transmit her condition as she experienced 5 minutes of weightlessness. She reached an altitude of 100 miles and landed safely. But sadly, 2 months later, she was euthanized so they could examine her brain. The first animals to orbit the moon and return to Earth were 2 Russian tortoises aboard the spacecraft Zond 5. On September 15, 1968, the tortoises, along with plants, seeds and bacteria, were launched around the moon. In 1973, a common cross spider named Arabella became the first to spin a web in space, thus providing an answer to the question of whether webs can be spun in zero gravity. The first fish in space were South American guppies. They spent 48 hours in orbit on the Russian Salyut 5 spacecraft in 1976. In 2007, Russian scientists celebrated after a cockroach named Hope became the first creature to conceive in space, giving birth to 33 cockroaches aboard the Photon M satellite. It is difficult to know exactly how many animals have died in space. In the early period of space exploration, the process involved in spacecraft design and production were trial and error. This meant the animals had little chance of survival. Nowadays, animals are still being sent into space, but the likelihood of survival is much greater. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope this was interesting for you. It was certainly interesting for me to research this, and it'd be great if you could like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Time Machine video.